I decided to do my project on fiber and its relations to cardiovascular disease. My topic question is, how can increasing the amount of dietary fiber in the diet decrease one's risk of cardiovascular disease? What is cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD? CVD is an overarching term for the diseases that affect the heart or blood vessels. CVD consists of three main types that can be possibly prevented with the help of increased fiber intake. I decided to do the topic of cardiovascular disease because it is the leading cause of death in the United States, and I think if more people were aware of that and the ways they could do to decrease their risk, I think that number could go down. The three types of CVD are atherosclerosis, hypertension, and cerebrovascular disease. Atherosclerosis is when the walls of the arteries build up with plaque and block the blood from flowing. If plate ruptures in the artery may clot, and symptoms are not usually present until the arteries are fully clogged. In the image below, you can see the normal artery and the artery with plaque build up because the plaque makes it hard for the blood to flow through. Hypertension is simple with high blood pressure, which is above the normal amount of 120/80, and a higher amount could be more like 140/90 or even higher, 180. This is caused when the blood is too strongly forced against the artery walls. Cerebrovascular disease is when there's problems with blood flow in the vessels within the brain are created. This can be from the blood vessels narrowing, blood clotting, or blood vessel rupture. Is CBD genetic? It is genetic. Every inch of the cardiovascular system is controlled by genes. One change or mutation in a single gene can affect the entire system. For example, a single variation in a protein can change the way the body digests cholesterol, which then increases the risk of blocked arteries. These genetic differences can then be passed down to their offsprings. This is why it is good to get tested if a family member struggles with CVD. Who does it affect? As I said earlier, CVD is the leading cause of death for both men and women. In the United States alone, 82.6 million people suffer from at least one or more forms of CVD. Things that put people at risk are being over the age of 40, because the older you get, the more you're at risk. People with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, lack of exercise, overweight, smokers, men tend to be at higher risk than women. Different ethnicities, such as Southeast or South Asia, the Caribbean, or African backgrounds, excessive alcohol, the diet can affect it, and family history. What is fiber? Fiber is a carbohydrate that cannot be digested. The human enzymes cannot physically break it down. Instead, it just moves through the body undigested and helps the regulation of sugar as well as hunger. The recommended daily amount of fiber. Although fiber is not considered a necessary nutrient, it is extremely recommended. At least 20 to 30 grams a day, but the DRI for women is 25 grams per day, and for men it is 38 grams per day, and that is for the age of 19 to 50, as other ages differ for the amount of fiber per day. The two types of fiber are soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber dissolves in water, helps lower glucose, and helps lower cholesterol in the blood. Examples of soluble fiber are oatmeal, nuts, blueberries, apple, and beans. Insoluble fiber does not dissolve in water. It helps move the food through the digestive system, regular bowel movements, and prevents constipation. Some examples are whole wheat breads and grains, brown rice, legumes, cucumbers, and carrots. Soluble fibers attracts the water, which turns into gel and can slow down digestion and lower blood cholesterol, while insoluble fiber is made of non-soluble cellulose, speeds food through the digestive tract, and add bulk to prevent constipation. Both of them, though, pass through the body without elevating blood glucose and help blood glucose control and insulin response. Some more examples, soluble fiber in avocados, potato, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, oats, chia seeds, oranges, and insoluble fiber, apples, peas, almonds, quinoa. And on this high fiber fruit list, raspberries seem to have the highest amount out of all of them. The benefits of fiber are normalizing bowel movements and maintaining bowel health, lowering cholesterol levels by lowering LDL levels, low density lipoproteins, controls blood sugar levels, slows blood glucose absorption, helps achieve healthy weight. Increased fiber keeps the body full for longer, making one eat less. Some studies to help show these benefits of fiber on the risk of cardiovascular disease. I chose 3 of them, and the first one is a prospective study on women. In this study, it was focused on women and their risk of cardiovascular disease. 39,000 women with no risk of cardiovascular disease prior to the study were given a food and diet questionnaire to fill out so their fiber intake could be assessed. These women then were followed up about 6 years later to see any signs of CVD, and after those 6 years, 570 cases of CVD were recorded. There was an inverse relationship between fiber intake and CVD that were shown. Those who had signs of CVD ate significantly less fiber than those who had no signs. The second study was questioning if there is a certain type of fiber that works best. So this was a randomized control study that took a group of healthy but overweight men who could be at risk of CVD because of their weight and put them on a high fiber diet. Part of one's group diet was quinoa and the other was 100% refined wheat bread. There's no difference in the health between the 2 types of fiber groups, but overall, there was a great difference in their health. Their total blood cholesterol and glucose were both lowered. This experiment was only done in a short period of time, about 4 to 8 weeks, with only about 30 men. So there could be some more to this experiment, with maybe repeating the experiment, adding more men, as well as the time length to help see what fiber works best, or if it really means that all fiber works the same. The third study was a meta-analysis where it took a bunch of studies and publications of experiments, tried and kind of made it all into one big publication. And I just took a couple of the tables to look at. This first table was looking at the LDL levels, and can highlight that most of these examples, you can see that the LDL levels were decreased a great amount, which the decrease in LDL levels is a decrease in cholesterol in the blood, which therefore decreases their chances of CVD. This next table is the same thing. It shows that there's a great decrease in the blood pressure. And then this image here kind of summarizes all of the tables and publications that they made. And with the increase of dietary fiber, there was a reduced cholesterol and fatty acid absorption, increased fecal bile acid excretion, which reduced the LDL cholesterol and reduced CVD risk overall, as well as reduced glucose absorption and decreased insulin secretion, which therefore reduced blood pressure and reduced cardiovascular disease, as well as reduced inflammation. In conclusion, can increase in fiber intake really reduce genetic risk to cardiovascular disease? I think that it can possibly help reduce it. There's nothing to prove that it will if you are genetically at risk. And I think it can just decrease maybe the amount of mortality it will give you, and will then reduce your risk overall, but it is not known for sure yet because there's still a lot of testing that needs to be done. And finally, just some recommendations to take along to help increase your fiber intake in your diet is to eat whole fruits instead of drinking fruit juices. Replace white rice, bread, and pasta with brown rice and whole grain products. For breakfast, choose cereals that have a whole grain as their first ingredient. Snack on raw vegetables instead of chips, crackers, or chocolate bars. Substitute beans or legumes for meat 2 or 3 times per week. Exercise more, maintain healthy weight, limit alcohol and smoking. That's it.